Why strategic optionality is outpacing optimization. Optimization was built for stability. 2026 is not stable. Corporate strategy for the past decade rewarded precision. Efficiency gains compounded. Capital cycles tightened. Redundancy was systematically removed from supply chains, energy portfolios, and infrastructure plans. That model assumed stable constraints. In early 2026, constraints are no longer stable. They are shifting. Grid access is uncertain. Equipment lead times stretch into multi-year windows. Load growth is accelerating in concentrated pockets. Regulatory and permitting timelines remain uneven. In this environment, the most optimized organizations are not necessarily the most resilient. Strategic optionality, the deliberate preservation of alternatives, is becoming a financial risk management tool rather than an operational luxury. The competitive advantage is no longer derived solely from minimizing slack. It is derived from preventing forced decisions under stress. Grid constraints as a strategic variable. Electricity infrastructure has become a gating factor in growth planning. According to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, total capacity active in U.S. interconnection queues reached 2,289 gigawatts at the end of 2024. Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory reports that approximately 10,300 projects were seeking interconnection, representing roughly 1,400 gigawatts of generation and 890 gigawatts of storage capacity. Volume alone does not ensure completion. Industry reporting on FERC interconnection reforms indicates that 68% of interconnection studies completed in 2022 were issued late, underscoring process strain. For executive teams, this reframes a critical question. Is your capital model built around theoretical access or confirmed access? When time to power becomes uncertain, timeline optimization loses reliability. Infrastructure lead times and exposure windows. Optionality gains value when replacement cycles lengthen. A National Infrastructure Advisory Council report hosted by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency found that large power transformers can have lead times ranging from 80 to 210 weeks. That equates to roughly 1.5 to 4 years in constrained cases. This is not a minor procurement delay. It is a multi-year operational exposure window. If a critical component fails, can you procure your way out of disruption, or must redundancy already exist within the system? Where replacement timelines extend beyond normal planning cycles, resilience ceases to be discretionary. Load growth and compounding assumptions. Energy demand growth is adding pressure to already constrained systems. The U.S. Department of Energy's DOE report on data center energy use, produced by Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, found that U.S. scrap data centers consumed 176 terawatt-hours in 2023, approximately 4.4% of total U.S. electricity use. Projections estimate that data center consumption could rise to 325 to 580 terawatt-hours by 2028, potentially reaching 6.7% to 12% of national electricity demand. When demand growth accelerates within a constrained grid environment, optimization assumptions compound risk. Executive leadership must consider: are growth projections aligned with infrastructure realities? Are siting decisions incorporating queue congestion? Is energy procurement structured for volatility rather than stability? The financial framing of optionality optimization maximizes performance within known parameters. Optionality protects performance when parameters shift. Maintaining optionality is not costless. Dual sourcing increases procurement expense. Inventory buffers tie up working capital. On-site generation requires capital investment. Contract flexibility may reduce short-term margin. But the financial question is not the cost of flexibility. It is the cost of inflexibility. When grid delays postpone commissioning, when supply concentration constrains inputs, when equipment lead times extend beyond forecast cycles, downside exposure can exceed the incremental cost of redundancy. Selective slack as a competitive discipline. Strategic optionality in 2026 does not imply inefficiency across all systems. It implies disciplined identification of single-point failures. Energy optionality may include layered procurement strategies. Infrastructure optionality may involve modular build sequencing. Supplier optionality may focus on critical nodes rather than full duplication. Capital optionality may require stage-gated investment that preserves pivot capacity. The executive discipline lies in identifying where rigidity would force a compromised decision under stress. Executive implication when interconnection queue volumes measure in the thousands of gigawatts. Study timelines are routinely delayed. Critical equipment lead times extend to multiple years. Electricity demand from concentrated loads accelerates. Optimization alone is insufficient. In early 2026, strategic optionality is emerging as a balance sheet stabilizer. The relevant executive question is no longer, how optimized are we? It is, where would constraint movement force us into an unfavorable decision? And what options exist before that moment arrives? You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment and Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.